There was a murder in my apartment building. The deceased was a middle-aged man who lived on the top floor. The murderer cut his mouth from the left ear to the right ear with a knife and nailed the corner of his mouth to his temple. When he was found, his eyes were white, and he had a strange smile on his face. After the incident, the residents of the apartment lived in fear, and the investigation was slow because there was no clue to the murderer at the crime scene. 3 days later, the mobile phones of all the residents of the community simultaneously received a video from a mysterious number. In the video, a clown stared at the screen and let out a creepy older brother's laughter, saying, "Laugh, laugh, laugh." Then he picked up the camera to show the penthouse apartment of the man who had died a few days earlier. The man was tied to a chair and crying for help, but the Joker took out a sharp knife and began cutting his mouth, knife after knife, cutting from the left ear to the right ear. The man screamed and struggled, but the Joker smiled and raised the corner of his cut mouth to the camera, then took out a hammer and began to nail the corner of his mouth. The Joker circled on the rotating chair. The man's mouth was torn, and a ferocious smile hung on his face. Suddenly, the screen went black, and red text appeared on the dark background. Zhan Xiaojun, type 503, next. My heart skipped a beat, and I slumped into my seat because that was my name and address. It gave me goosebumps. How could he know me? Why am I the next target? I didn't do anything, and I didn't offend anyone. Just as I was terrified, other residents who had seen the video called the police. The police came to my house, and they asked me if I knew the clown. It dawned on me that the man in 504 next door might be the murderer, because the last few nights I've been kept awake by banging noises coming from my neighbor's house. One night, because I had an important meeting the next day, I went to bed early and heard banging from my neighbor's side again. After midnight, I went to ring the doorbell. Who is it? The suspicious man next door opened the door impatiently. Through the narrow crack of the door, I saw him with a hammer in his hand. I don't know what he was doing in the middle of the night, but the hammer seemed to be the source of the noise. I live next door. It's too noisy. Can you be quiet? And everyone needs to sleep? I said angrily to him, but he just glared at me and slammed the door. I told the police about it and suspected him of being the murderer. The police listened to my story and said they would check on the man next door. After the police left, I couldn't stay in the apartment anymore. Took a long vacation, packed up, and ran to my parents' house in the country. After a month at my parents' house, during which there were no more murders in the apartment because the police kept an eye on the man next door, I took advantage of the calm to return to the apartment on the last day of the vacation. Entering the apartment lobby, the doorman greeted me with a smile. "You're back. I'm so glad you're safe." Because of the long drive back, I was too tired to respond to his enthusiasm, so I responded casually and waited for the elevator. He told me that a few days ago, he saw the man next door to me wandering in front of my door, worried that I might be in danger, and wanted to accompany me up. When I got to the 5th floor, as soon as the elevator door opened, I saw my neighbor standing in front of my door smoking with fierce eyes. I was so scared that I was shaking all over. I asked the doorman to come in with me. We nervously walked past the neighbor. Suddenly, the neighbor rushed over from behind, grabbed the back of my head, and dragged me into his house. "Help! I screamed in horror, and the doorman quickly grabbed my suitcase and slammed it on his head, and he fell to the ground, bleeding profusely. What now? I think he's dead, I gasped, and the doorman was surprised and sweating profusely. I didn't mean to beat him to death. This is self-defense. Let's get him into the house first, so no one can see him. The doorman and I carried the fallen man into the house, and I thought no one should have seen him. As he was looking out, the neighbor I thought was dead suddenly struggled to raise his head and yelled, "Run!" Just then, the doorman took a knife out of his pocket and swung it violently, cutting the man's mouth apart. The man screamed, and one corner of his mouth was torn to death. Seeing this scene, my whole body froze. The doorman breathed a sigh of relief and said, "Fortunately, he didn't die." Then he took off his jumper, which actually hid a colorful clown costume. He raised his head and smiled at me. He put on a clown mask and said, "Zhan Xiaojun, I smile at you in the hall every day and greet you, but you don't respond. The people here are too unfriendly.